Is this thing on? Hello? Hello? Whatever. We're live. What is up, guys? It's Alex Johnson here, the founder and lead analyst at yardsforfantasy.com. Welcome to the 129th episode of the Feed Me Fantasy Podcast. Let's eat. So as usual, today we're talking ads, drops, buys, and sells for week 7. But first, let me remind you, get on Underdog Fantasy and start drafting weekly teams. It's basically DFS in snake draft form. You bring the two together, best of both worlds, let's go. Or you can play their pick'ems, where you can take the overs or unders on player props for your favorite players. When you sign up on Underdog, use promo code YARDSPER to get a $100 deposit match. Just go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app. You can also use that same code, YARDSPER, to get a 125% deposit bonus on BetUS. Just sign up, use promo code YARDSPER, get your free money, and start betting. It's easy as that. And today's going to be a bit of a shorter show than usual. There's just not a ton of transactions I feel strong enough about this week. It's kind of one of those weird weeks. Week 7, kind of coming off a weird week 6. And I'm not going to put in transactions that I can't get fully behind just to reach a certain number. That's not how we do things here. That's not how we do things on this show. And hey, it's less time you have to listen to me talk, all right? You're welcome. Anyway, let's start with one that may be a bit controversial. I tweeted about this one and I got a bit of pushback, but I want you to sell Brian Robinson. I know. We encourage you to stash him, but now it's time to flip for profit. Everyone's out there. Everyone is excited about Brian Robinson. He was hyped up in preseason, and he's a great story. We'll give him that. He's a great story. And then he comes out, and he gets a bunch of carries in week 6, and he falls into the end zone after being announced as the starter. That's great. It's great. But in reality, Robinson was in a 3-headed backfield committee. He played 47% of the snaps, while J.D. McKissic played 30%, and Antonio Gibson played 26%. Robinson was not involved in the passing game whatsoever, while Gibson and McKissic combined for a 32% target share. Robinson is a grinder back in a full-blown committee on an already bad offense that is now without its starting quarterback for 6 weeks. Sell Brian Robinson. All right, let's take a mosey down to the waiver wire. Let's find this tight end that flashed early in the season. He's a rookie. It's Dan Bellinger. He flashed early in the season, and then he went out and he played 94% of the snaps in week 6. He reached a season high, which that was also a season high, by the way. Season high, 94% of the snaps. And another season high was his 19% target share. And he turned that into 5 receptions on 5 targets, so 100% catch rate, for 38 yards and a touchdown. Bellinger has now had a double-digit target share in 4 straight games. He's a big, athletic guy, exactly the type that we look for in breakout tight ends. The Giants are desperate for someone to emerge as a reliable weapon in the passing game. They may have found one in their rookie tight end, Dan Bellinger. So sticking to the topic of the Giants and looking for some pass catchers to emerge in that offense, rookie second-round wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson made his debut in week 6. He didn't play a whole lot, just a 23 snap share and a 34% route participation rate. But he flashed that playmaking ability that the Giants drafted him for. So when you're out there on your waiver wire looking for Dan Bellinger, you're also taking a look, see if Wan'Dale Robinson is still floating out there. He's still available in a lot of leagues. He finished week 6 with 3 receptions on 4 targets for 37 yards and a touchdown. These guys had basically identical numbers. We should anticipate Wan'Dale Robinson's playing time to increase significantly over the next few weeks. He has a good shot at becoming the team's number 1 option in the passing game and the guy that everyone wanted Kadarius Toney to be. So go get Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, we talked about Bellinger as a possible waiver wire streamer tight end, but there's another one that's still out there in a lot of leagues, maybe not quite as many as Dan Bellinger, but Robert Tonyan is another guy that if you're streaming that position, you should have scooped up weeks ago. But if, you didn't do that, which you should have, but if you didn't do that, Robert Tonyan is still available in a lot of leagues. See if he's on the waiver wire in one of your leagues. Basically, the theme here of the last 3 guys is teams that are desperate. The Giants, the Packers, they're desperate for someone to emerge as a consistent target in that passing game. And Tonyan, his playing time has steadily increased over the last few weeks as he works his way back from last year's ACL injury. Tonyan was up to a season-high 63% snap share in week 6. He saw a 27% share of Aaron Rodgers' targets, which led the team and was good enough for 3rd highest rate among all tight ends for the week. Tonyan turned his 12 targets into 10 receptions for 90 yards. So I know we're doing the show on Wednesday. Most waiver wires have already gone. So he may not still be on the waiver wire, unfortunately. But my article on this comes out on Tuesdays. So if you've read that article, you would know to look for Robert Tonyan on the waiver wire. We were talking about him as somebody, who was this nice pickup off the waiver wire the last few weeks. A guy whose snap shares were increasing over time as he was working his way back. But now he's a must-add. He is a must-add after his performance in week 6. He's all the way back. I expect that snap share, target shares to continue to rise, especially the Randall call-out. Aaron Rodgers needs somebody, a veteran, somebody he's trusted in the past to step up and play a role in this offense. He's a great red zone weapon. Go get Robert Tonyan. Anyway, I only have one. This is crazy. I usually build this show around guys you want to buy in trades. But there's only one guy this week that I really, really felt strongly about enough to talk about in this show. I mean, obviously, some guys that we've talked about in past shows like Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, guys like that where we're still obviously buying. I don't like to do repeats. And there's some other guys like maybe like a Rashad Bateman you could be going out and trying to buy. But there's only one guy that we haven't talked about yet this season that I feel really strongly about that you should be going and making offers for this week, and that is Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper has had 4 games with 10 or more targets on this season. And he's top 10 in targets per route, and he's top 5 among wide receivers in air yard share, total touchdowns, and dominator rating. That's per playerprofiler.com, of course. He's getting a lot of red zone looks too. And if you trade for Amari Cooper right now, he's going to give you that steady weekly top 24 production for the next several weeks. But the reason why we're trading for him is not to get that nice wide receiver 2 production. That's great. We all need a wide receiver 2 in our lives, right? But Deshaun Watson, when Deshaun Watson makes his return, he could fully unlock Amari Cooper's ceiling just in time for the fantasy playoffs. So I am making right now, before it gets too close to that Deshaun Watson return, I'm making my offers right now for Amari Cooper in all of my redraft leagues. So let's go back to the waiver wire. There's another wide receiver who had a nice week 6, so he may have been scooped up already. But if not, I know he's still lingering out there on a lot of waiver wires, and that's Tyquan Thornton. He played 42% of the snaps and had a modest 14% target share in his week 5 debut. Remember, he had that collarbone injury in preseason, missed the first 4 weeks of the season, made his debut in week 5, had a decent role for his NFL debut. And then he improved upon that in week 6, playing 57% of the snaps, running around on 72.2% of Bailey Zappi's dropbacks, and commanding a 15% target share against the Browns. He finished the day with 4 receptions for 37 yards and a touchdown. And he also had 3 rushes for 16 yards and another score. Now, there is talk that the Patriots are getting calls from teams about trading for wide receivers Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. If either of those guys leave town, it will open up more opportunities for Tyquan Thornton to take a much bigger role in his offense. And honestly, either way, even if those guys stick around, I think Thornton's role is going to continue to grow. Let's not forget, this guy ran a 4.28 40 at the NFL Combine. This guy has speed for days. This guy is one of the fastest wide receivers, one of the fastest players in the entire NFL. And they're clearly trying to get him the football if they give him 3 carries. Go pick up Tyquan Thornton. We only have 2 more guys left. We have 2 more. I told you this is a short show this week. Just one of those weeks. We usually do 12, 14, 15, 16 guys. Depends on the week. This week's only 8. Kind of crazy. But we'll take some questions at the end of the show as well. So let's go back to the trade market for a minute. There's a guy out there that we need to sell. There's a guy out there that is a screaming sell right now. And I don't know if you're going to be able to get the nice in return. But in some leagues, you may have somebody who may do it. They're desperate for a running back. They may make you a nice offer for Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson fell into a bell cow job with the news that Cam Akers and the team have had a falling out. I don't know what happened. We speculated that after week 1, something weird was going on with Cam Akers. This was not his Achilles. This was not his talent. And it was certainly not the talent of Darrell Henderson. We said that after week 1. There was something else going on here with Cam Akers, with the team. It just something behind the scenes just wasn't connecting. I don't know. We don't know what it was. We still don't know what it is. But that has become very obvious at this point. This is basically confirming that was correct. So, which makes me feel a lot better about my preseason Cam Akers takes, because it wasn't about the talent, it wasn't about the role. There was just something that we could not have known going on. But anyway, Sean McVay has made it clear time and time again that he does not like Darrell Henderson in a big role like he had in week 6. He was forced into it. So I anticipate the Rams will be adding another running back or even 2 to split the work with Henderson. And even in week 6, Henderson played 71% of the snaps while sharing some of the work with a dusty Malcolm Brown and a guy that nobody's ever heard of. Sorry, Ronnie Rivers. We've never heard of you. All right. And if we've never heard of you, we know you're not good. Anyway, someone is going to join this backfield via trade or free agent signing, maybe both. And there's also the lingering return of rookie Kyren Williams. If someone in your league thinks that Henderson is the guy for the rest of the season, he's going to be in this bell cow role. He's going to give you RB2 fantasy football production for the rest of the season. If someone in your league thinks that, tell them to make you an offer or go and make an offer yourself and flip him for RB2 value. We got to get out from Darrell Henderson. Last guy we're going to talk about today, back to the wire. Another one that should be obvious is probably could have already been scooped up, but I know he's still out there on a lot of waiver wires. And if you're streaming the tight end position, go and look for Greg Dulcich. I mean, how about that NFL debut? Usually tight ends in particular take a long time to be productive at all. Never mind go out there and have a big play touchdown in his first game. So Greg Dulcich went out there, NFL debut, made an immediate impact, catching 2 of his 3 targets for 44 yards and a touchdown. His playing time is likely to go up from here, and his role will grow with it. Alberto Okwuegbunam, healthy scratch in week 6 in favor of Greg Dulcich. Is over for Albert O. We got that one wrong. Over for Albert O. It's a Greg Dulcich show. Hopefully this offense gets it going, but I'm losing hope at this point that that's going to happen. Either way, they've been using so much. They've constantly had tight ends, 2, 3 tight ends out on the field at all times. I think they're desperate for one of those guys to step up and make plays. Greg Dulcich is the playmaker of the bunch. We thought it was going to be Albert O. It's not. It's Greg Dulcich. Go pick him up. But that's the show. If you're looking for more Week 7 content, head over to yardsperfantasy.com or download the Yards Per Fantasy app for articles, rankings, trade calculator, start sit tool, and more. Let's take some questions. I know we got some questions on TikTok. I think we got some on YouTube as well. So we'll take 5 or 10 minutes. We'll answer some questions and we'll get out of here. Got another show coming up on Saturday night, which we dedicate strictly to answering questions. We don't talk about any of this other bullshit. We just answer your questions, and we do the same thing on Sunday morning. So let's see what we got. We'll start. We got a couple from YouTube. We'll start here. Let's see. All right. So we got one saying he's 2-4. Meaning he needs to win right now. He needs to win every week at this point. He's 2-4. He's not completely desperate, but he's damn close. He has, or she, they have Joe Mixon, Breece Hall, Ramondre Stevenson, and Jamar Chase, who all have the same bye week. I'm not sure which week that is. I know it's not this week. Okay, now, all right. I didn't read the whole question. It's week 10. Do I make a move or take the week 10 loss? Well, here's the deal. I don't think that's a guarantee that you're going to lose that week. Probably not loving your chances, but I mean, it's okay, but think about this. You're desperate for a win right now. That's what I would be worrying about, is trying to win right now. And while other teams in your league are having guys on bye week, just look at this week. Look at the Bills, the Vikings. We got a ton of fantasy football studs on bye this week. So the other teams in your league are going through what you're going to be going through in week 10. They're going through that right now. Take advantage. You've got your team that's all going to be put together. They don't have buys, studs. And take advantage of going against those teams who are struggling with bye weeks. So I think you're going to have the upper hand now up until week 10 and even beyond week 10, because if you got all your bye weeks in 1 week, I know it sucks for week 10. I would take the L. I mean, I don't. It's not even a guarantee that you're going to lose. Kind of work the waiver wire, prepare for this moment over the next few weeks. Have some guys that maybe have some decent matchups in week 10, pick them up off the waiver wire, stash them on your bench. I don't think you have to go and make a move just for week 10, even at 2-4, because you are going to win games against teams that are struggling with bye weeks in the meantime. That's the way I would look at it. Now, obviously, if you're 2-4, you still may need to make some improvements. I don't know the rest of your team, the rest of your roster. That's the way I would approach that week 10 bye week. We got another one on YouTube. He's asking, would you run Mostert versus Pittsburgh or Aaron Jones versus Washington this week? I'm going to go Aaron Jones. I think he's more likely to break off big plays, just get those big chunk plays, get in the end zone. But it's closer than it should be. Raheem Mostert and Aaron Jones should not be even a conversation like coming into the season, but it is at this point. Mostert was a dud in week 6, as was Aaron Jones. And I do like the Dolphins against the Steelers this week. I think the offense could get right back on track with Tua returning. But I'm going to go Aaron Jones there. So we got one from Brock here. He's saying, should I trade Breece Hall and Romeo Doubs for A.J. Brown and Chris Olave? He's already got Saquon, Mixon, Kenneth Walker, and Ramondre Stevenson. So I do like getting A.J. Brown. I do really like getting Chris Olave, but I hate giving up Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is only going to continue to ascend from here. Breece Hall is up there with Saquon Barkley in talent, Jonathan Taylor in talent, and in role at this point, or damn close to it. He's going to continue to ascend. He's getting work in the passing game. He's a stud as a runner. So I'm not looking to trade away Breece Hall. You've got these other running backs. I think you can get a similar deal with a Mixon, with a Ramondre. Don't forget, Damian Harris is going to be coming back. Kenneth Walker's ascending. Right now, I would be looking to see if I could sell Ramondre out of those guys. Not that I'm down on Ramondre. I think he's fantastic. He's going to be great for the rest of the season, especially while Harris is out. But Breece Hall is a whole nother animal. But if I was going to trade Breece Hall, I would want more in return. Do you think Keenan Allen is going to be back this week? I don't. I really don't. I really, really don't. It's not looking good for Keenan Allen. I think he had a setback at some point. It was a hamstring injury in week 1. He should have been back by now. I think he had a setback at one point. They're playing it safe. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I don't know exactly what's going on. We just have to monitor. But my gut feeling tells me we're multiple weeks away from Keenan Allen returning. Let's see. Singletary or A.J. Dillon rest of the season. I think that one's a tough one. So they're both very inconsistent, up and down all over the place. Devin Singletary seems to get these bigger roles against these teams that are actually competitive, and then kind of disappears in these weeks where the Bills are blowing a team out. It's just tough because A.J. Dillon has to compete with Aaron Jones, and those running backs are not being utilized quite as heavily as you would think with their receiver situation. I want to say A.J. Dillon because he's just a better back altogether. He's better in the passing game. He's more explosive. He's bigger. Yeah, I think that's where I would go. I would go A.J. Dillon because we have that upside if anything happens to Aaron Jones. And I think they're both going to give you that weekly volatility similar to each other. And I just think A.J. Dillon has, in the grand scheme of things for the season, A.J. Dillon has much greater upside. And their floors are about the same. So I'm going to go A.J. Dillon there. All right, let's take a few from take a few from TikTok, and then we'll get out of here. Is Deshaun Watson worth stashing? Yeah, I would stash him, definitely. Probably a top 10 quarterback when he comes back, just in time for the fantasy playoffs. I think he's worth stashing. Obviously, it depends on your league, depends on what you have for bench spots. Do you have room for that? In most cases, I would say, yeah, he's worth stashing. Should I trade? Oh, I lost it. Sorry. Deshaun Jackson. What are your thoughts on Deshaun Jackson? I'm not rushing out to the waiver wire to get Deshaun Jackson. I don't think he's that big play, boom, weak threat that he was several years ago. He really didn't do much over the last few years when he was playing. So I'm not that interested in Deshaun Jackson. In a deeper league, sure, I'll throw a flyer on him, but they are desperate for wide receivers in that offense. But Rashad Bateman's back. I think he was back at practice this week, today. Limited, I think, but it's a step in the right direction. Should I trade DeAndre Swift for Breece Hall? I would do that. It's close. It's very close. I kind of want both of them. I'm buying both right now. But yeah, I would take Swift over Breece Hall. I mean, Breece over Swift. I'm 1-5. My running backs being Breece Hall, James Robinson, and AJ Dillon. Should I trade AJ Dillon and Gabe Davis for Jacoby Myers and Travis Etienne? Yes, I would do that. You're going to give up the ceiling at wide receiver with Gabe Davis, but the floor is about the same. I mean, Gabe Davis target shares are nothing to be excited about. So he's going to be inconsistent. He does have Josh Allen at quarterback, so he has opportunities to make those big plays. He seems to have that nose in the end zone. But I think what ETN is going to give you at running back as opposed to AJ Dillon is worth the downgrade at wide receiver from Gabe to Myers. ETN is ascending. ETN has taken over that backfield slowly but surely, week to week to week. Remember, he's basically a rookie. He didn't play last year. So, of course, he was going to go after a slow start to the season as far as his role against a veteran in that backfield. And now the coaching staff is seeing that ETN is clearly the more talented back. He's getting far more production out of similar touches to James Robinson at this point. So I am absolutely buying Travis Etienne. I want him in all my leagues. I would certainly take him way over AJ Dillon. And Jacoby Myers is a guy who's going to get you. He's going to get you targets. He's going to be startable week to week. And we saw 2 weeks ago he has big week ceiling as well. So I like that deal a lot. I would do that for sure. I just traded Dallas Goedert, Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Darren Waller, James Conner, and Tyler Boyd. What are your thoughts on that? Goddard, CEH for Waller, James Conner, and Tyler Boyd. James Conner's not a buy for me. CEH is a sell. Waller's kind of a mess. He's got that hamstring he's dealing with now. He really hasn't done much even when he's been out there this year. Goddard's a top 3 tight end. I think I would have kept the Goddard side of that deal. But it's not terrible. Mostert or Najee Harris? I'm going to go with Mostert this week, but that one's a close one. I can look at my rankings, see where I have them. And you can find my rankings at yardsperfantasy.com. I have them ranked back to back. I actually have Najee at RB19 and Mostert at RB20. I might flip that though. It's really close. Really close. Najee was back to his normal role last week for the most part, but it's still a bad offense. Not going to get a lot of production out of him either. But I do like Mostert more with Tua coming back. The offense is going to be a lot better. Should I start Brian Robinson or Romeo Doubs this week? I think we have to go Brian Robinson. Should I trade Gerald Everett and Gabe Davis for Waller and James Conner? No, I wouldn't do that. I would keep what you have. Should I trade Burrow for Herbert? Yeah. Yeah, when it's a close it's close. Pretty much a toss up for me, honestly. Yeah, I have to think about that one. That one's tough. Herbert's been underperforming, but so is Burrow other than this past week. Yeah, I would do that. Fuck it, I'll do it. I traded Amari Cooper and Stevenson for Devontae and Zeke. Thoughts? Amari Cooper and Stevenson for Devontae. Yeah, I don't hate that. I like Stevenson. I do like Stevenson, but we do have to remember Damien Harris is going to be back. Not thrilled with getting Zeke. But Devontae over Amari Cooper, we'll take that. Yeah, I don't hate that. Pick one between Najee, Hopkins, and Brandon Ayuk to start this week. I'll go Hopkins. But that one's tough. His first game back on Thursday night. Maybe we play it safe with Ayuk. Here's one from YouTube. Would you trade, would you flex David Montgomery or Brandon Cooks this week? I would go David Montgomery, but I would limit my expectations against Patriots. They just shut down the Browns running game and are likely to do the same with Montgomery. But he gets more involved in the passing game than like a Nick Chubb does. So I would roll my dice with Montgomery. Is Albert O your biggest fantasy disappointment? He's one of. So there's a few. There's a few this year. They're tough. Albert O is definitely right up there with Cam Akers and Allen Robinson. But I think I have the most Albert O. So I would say yes. Out of those three guys I just named, I have the most Albert O because I liked Cam Akers, but where we needed to draft Cam Akers, I was drafting wide receiver. So I actually don't have very much Cam Akers at all, which has really worked out well. But I have a lot of Albert O because I believed in Russell Wilson. I believed in that offense. And Albert O is the type of tight end that we look for in breakouts. The process that took us in the direction of Albert O is sound. It's good. You're not going to hit them all on all of them. Where you needed to take them in the double-digit rounds, not a huge opportunity cost to take them there. So that's not crippling fantasy teams by doing that. And like I said, the process, what we look for in breakout tight ends is basically these freak athletes with opportunity in good offenses, with good quarterbacks. That's what we thought we were getting with Albert O. Clearly, the offense and the quarterback have severely underperformed everybody's expectations. Nobody saw that one coming. So, yeah, he'd probably might be my biggest disappointment. He's right there, at least. Do you think Dalton Schultz will have tight end one value when he's fully healthy in about 2 or 3 weeks? Yeah, because it's not that hard to find tight end one value at this point when he's already proven it. It's not a high bar to reach because the tight end position is just trash, like it always is. We always fall. We're just talking about Albert O. We always fall for these late round, next big breakout tight ends, and they disappoint us 90% of the time. So yeah, Dalton Schultz, a guy that we know he has chemistry with Dak. We know he's good. He may not be top 5 tight end like he was last year. I don't think he's that good. I think he outperformed himself. But yeah, absolutely. I think Dalton Schultz is definitely a guy you can rely on as a tight end 1 as soon as he's healthy. As long as Dak's quarterback. I just traded. This is another one from YouTube. I just traded Nick Chubb and Chris Godwin for Devontae Adams and Breece Hall. What are your thoughts on that? I absolutely fucking love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I do like Nick Chubb. Especially with, obviously the lingering return of Deshaun Watson at some point. Well, not some point. We know when he's coming back. So that's going to be great for the fantasy playoffs for him. But Godwin, he's good. He's good. We like Godwin, but he's just been so banged up this year, whether it's the knee, the hamstring, and the whole offense is disappointing. But I love the upgrade to Devontae Adams. And if you've seen any of my content over the last few weeks, you know how much I love Breece Hall. So I absolutely love getting Breece Hall out of this deal. I think that's a great upgrade at that position. And I think he upgraded a wide receiver as well. So I really, really like this deal. I just snatched up J.K. Dobbins off the waiver wire. Is that a big mistake from the person who dropped him from Kenyon Drake? Yes, I would absolutely not drop J.K. Dobbins. Absolutely not. And great on you for going and pick him up. Because we don't know about whatever this issue is going on with his knee. I think John Harbaugh, what his words were is it locked up because of the turf. So obviously it's not great news considering he's just came off major knee surgery. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be anything that's lingering. But obviously this is something we have to learn more about. We have to get more information about. We have to continue to monitor that situation. It's certainly not a guy I would drop. Because if he ever does get fully healthy, works his way back into that offense, he's a far superior talent to Kenyon Drake at this point in his career. He's explosive. He's versatile. He's a guy who can get the carries down the goal line as well as catching passes in the passing game. So yeah, mistake, yes. Kenyon Drake, I mean, what we saw from him last week, I think that was kind of a mirage. Like this is like we've seen Kenyon Drake for the last several years. What we saw in week 6, do we think that all of a sudden he's this explosive, big play running back that is going to average a huge amount of yards per carry or whatever he did in week 6? No. Now, do I think you need to pick up Kenyon Drake? Yeah, absolutely. Do it. But I wouldn't drop J.K. Dobbins for him. So big mistake, yes, and good on you to get J.K. Dobbins. Spent way too much time on that question. DeAndre Hopkins. Should I trade DeAndre Hopkins for Keenan Allen? PPR, and my quarterback is Justin Herbert. So this is tough because we don't know what Hopkins is going to be when he comes back. Is he DeAndre Hopkins or is he last year's DeAndre Hopkins? He's in a very disappointing offense, but he's going to be the number 1 option now that Marquise Brown's out. But you got that nice stack with Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert. We like that. But we also, the injury situation with Keenan Allen, that's tough. So if you're willing to take the risk on that, I think with injury aside, I would prefer Keenan Allen over DeAndre Hopkins for the season, especially if you can take that stack. I just trust Keenan Allen more. I think he's going to get the targets. But that one's tough. That one's tough. I don't know if I would do it. Yeah, I would do it. Sure. I would do it. See if you can get a little bit more. because the Keenan Allen manager, is probably very frustrated and concerned at this point. And DeAndre Hopkins is back. Marquise Brown is out. So there's definitely some excitement about DeAndre Hopkins right now. So you might be able to squeeze a little bit more out of that deal. Should I trade away Najee Harris for Miles Sanders and Brian Robinson? Yes. I would trade him away for just Miles Sanders. I think that's an upgrade. And you're also going to get Brian Robinson on top of it? Yes, I would absolutely do that. Najee, if you can get any sort of good value back in return like that, hell yeah, I would do that. Especially Miles Sanders. I like Miles Sanders a lot this year. Good offense. He's getting more work in the passing game than we anticipated. Yeah, I like that deal a lot. Even though Brian Robinson is a sell, I like that deal a lot. All right, let's take like maybe one or two more. Someone's mowing their lawn right outside my window. Can you hear that? Can you guys hear that? TikTok can probably hear it. YouTube shouldn't be able to hear it. I'm not sure. Let me know. Can you hear it? It's distracting for me, that's for sure. Let's see. Is Kyren Williams... Is Kyren Williams going to be the guy in LA, do you think? The guy, no. But I think he could come back to a significant role, especially as a receiver out of the backfield. Like we talked about earlier in the show, Darrell Henderson, there's no way in hell that Darrell Henderson is going to maintain a bell cow role in this offense. Somebody from some avenue or another is going to come into this backfield and disrupt Darrell Henderson's bell cow role that he had in week 6. Whether there's going to be Kyren Williams, whether it's going to be a guy off the street, whether it's going to be a guy in a trade, somebody is going to join that backfield other than Malcolm Brown and Ronnie Rivers. Now, Kyren Williams was super productive at Notre Dame. He's an excellent receiver out of the backfield, excellent receiving skills. And he's a solid runner. However, he is underwhelming as an athlete. He severely disappointed in the workouts at the NFL Combine. So I don't know if he's got what it takes to be the guy, but I absolutely think he could come back to a role in this offense. What was this injury? Was it a high ankle sprain? Remind me. Anybody remember what Kyren Williams' injury is? I believe it's an ankle, which, although considering he sat out all this time and didn't try to play through it, I think he'll be all right. Once he's back, he should be back 100%. But those ankle injuries can linger an entire season. But that's usually when a guy tries to come back after 3 weeks or something. But on Kyren Williams, last thing I'll say, he's absolutely worth a stash if you have the roster space for him. But I would temper your expectations. Don't think he's going to come back and be, this weekly starter for you. Let's do one more. We'll take it from TikTok. Should I trade CeeDee Lamb and DeAndre Hopkins for Jamar Chase? I would have Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, Chris Godwin, and Chris Olave as my wide receivers. So I trade Lamb and Hopkins for Chase. That one's tough. See, if you can't start both Lamb and Hopkins, I'm assuming you can't start both of them with these other wide receivers that you have. Probably not enough wide receiver starting spots, probably not enough flex spots. I'm all for upgrading your lineup. And we don't know what DeAndre Hopkins is going to be when he comes back. Is he going to be the old Hopkins? Is he going to be old Hopkins? Lamb leads the NFL in target share, but that was mostly with Cooper Rush. That one's a tough one. That one's a tough one because it's kind of what do we project Hopkins to be? I do like the upgrade from Lamb to Chase, but I don't think it's this massive upgrade considering what Lamb target share wise is doing. Now we got Dak returning. I think you can probably get a little something extra with Chase, maybe a flex guy or something. And then I would say, yes, definitely do that deal. If not, I'm still okay with it. Because I do like the upgrade in the lineup. That's what I like to do. I like to upgrade my lineups. I don't care about my bench, especially as we get deeper into the season. If you're going to win a championship, like a good bench is going to get you. It's going to help get you through these bye weeks, and it's going to help. But it's not going to help you win a championship. Studs in your lineup is going to help. Yeah. So my final answer is I think I would want a little bit more on top of Jamar Chase if I'm going to pull the trigger on that deal. But I like what you're thinking. All right. Let's wrap it up there. We've been going for almost an hour at this point. I said it was going to be a short show. We'll be back Saturday night around 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern time on TikTok, on YouTube, strictly answering questions. That's all we're going to do. You're going to ask me your questions. I'm going to give you my answers. We're going to go through my rankings. I'll use my rankings. We'll use the start sit tool, yardsperfantasy.com. We'll get you ready for week 7. And then we'll do the same thing Sunday morning. So join me for that. And if I didn't get to your questions, find my rankings at yardsperfantasy.com. Use our start sit tool, yardsperfantasy.com/start-sit. Use our trade calculator, the most customizable trade calculator in the fantasy football industry is right at yardsperfantasy.com. Just go to yardsperfantasy.com/start. No, that's the start sit tool. I do that all the time. yardsperfantasy.com/trade-calculator will get you our trade calculator. You can customize it for your league size, your scoring settings. You can add tight end premium to it. You can even say, you know what? I really, really need, let's say, a wide receiver. It'll add a little bit of a premium as a need for wide receiver. It's going to tell you if the deal is close. It's going to tell you if it's fair. It's going to tell you if it's far apart. And if it's far apart or close, it's going to tell you, it's going to give you some suggestions on players that you can add to the deal on either side. That's going to bring it and make it a fair deal. So use that trade calculator. Download the Yards Per Fantasy app. You can get it right in your app, right in your hand. Yards Per Fantasy. Use our trade calculator. Rankings, start sit tool. Anyway, thank you guys for checking out the show and checking out everything we're doing. I'll be back on Saturday.